чтобы каким-то образом задать этот вопрос. В конце будет у нас небольшая Q&A-сессия, поэтому будет возможность задать вопросы. Алекс, я предлагаю начинать.
Excellent. Can everybody hear me okay? Yes, Ellen, you kind of...
Да, все прекрасно.
Okay, great. So, very nice to meet everybody. I see about 67 people already joining in, which is great. I love it. And wanted to say hello from this, from the other side of the ocean. You see New York City behind me. And it's not just, I'm not just sitting in Kiev somewhere, or Odessa or London. I'm actually in New York City. And it's 9:08 in the morning, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to queue up the presentation and we'll go through it, right? And you guys tell me if you can see it. I'm going to actually, and then the way we're going to do this is Ellen is going to moderate. So she will be, if we have a question or something like this, you'll have an opportunity to raise your hand or, whatever, right? Why don't I hit the play button, and I'm going to actually share my screen first. And you should be able to see my screen, and you should be able to see...
Да, все видим.
Okay, excellent. And then what we're going to do is, maybe what we'll do later then is take a big picture, maybe a picture or something like this, right? Which is going to be great, a group picture. And Ellen, since I'm sharing and I'm seeing only the screen, I don't see any questions. I don't see any raised hands. So please help me if anything needs to be, if I need to stop or something like that. Okay. Was that you who did the yellow thing?
I don't know.
did somebody annotate this? So actually, there's some annotation. So, please be nice, people. Don't put any bad stuff in there if anybody is going to annotate or ask questions. Okay, so here we go. My name is Alex Романович. I've come from the United States, mostly New York. I've done a lot of, I've been involved with a lot of sales and marketing in the United States with a variety of different companies, IBM, American Express, a German company called Arvato, a Japanese company called Fink, German company called Adidas, French company called Sodexo, and so forth. Now, I worked for some companies and I consulted some companies. And I mostly consulted on marketing and business development, okay? I'm not going to go too fast. I'm going to keep this pace so that we can understand, right? And and people who are tuned in and have some English barrier issues will be able to, follow, okay? And Ellen, you tell me if I need to stop or whatever.
Хорошо.
I see some messages coming in, but I'm not sure what that is. Okay, here's my background from Alex. I also want to say, I'm not sure what this yellow thing is, and I'm not sure how to get rid of it, but that's okay. So far, so good. I also want to thank my partner, Elena, who is our moderator today. She is wonderful. She is very much a global business developer and marketer as well. And with some people, she needs no introduction, but she combines a very interesting background in technology and marketing and sales. She's a founder of Jet Accelerator. And it has been a pleasure of working with her for the past, year or so. Okay. Okay. Let's begin with the state of the state. As you can all imagine, we're under the same quarantine as you are, right? We're following news online. There's really nothing different between Kiev and New York other than, we have 10 million people, you have 5 million people, or 4 million people, whatever. And, you know, in that sense, that's the only thing that separates us, right? We're on both sides of the ocean. But I think this quarantine, this virus, and I know of many people already who have the virus, and some have been hospitalized and some have gone through it successfully, and maybe even developed antibodies, which is great because now they can share. And if I'm sure in this audience, somebody probably has the virus with hopefully with no symptoms or very mild symptoms. And, you know, we're not gonna, you know, take a poll of who has it or who doesn't, but I'm pretty sure of it, because the statistics is such that I think every 10th person on this earth is probably going to get it. Okay. But what does this virus show us? Okay. What does this virus show us? What it showed us is a couple of very interesting things. It showed us that only true value in this life and in this business counts. And what that means is that all of a sudden, businesses that had no, you know, that were kind of floating, right? They were floating on top based on whatever reason, maybe investors' money, maybe owners' money, and so forth. And they were not necessarily providing much value, but they were kind of floating, right? Like the ship when the tide is very high, right? But what happens when the tide is low, or when the tide gets lower, as you can imagine, you expose a lot of different issues. And that's exactly what this virus is showing us, what this pandemic is showing us, that in difficult times like these, or good times, we just don't notice it because the tide is very high, right? Everybody has money, everybody's happy, everybody's selling, economy is amazing, a lot of speculation, a lot of hype, you know, and so forth. So only true value counts. Online businesses still win. Some traditional offline businesses begin to struggle, right? So anybody who's thinking of a business model is now beginning to think about it even more so. Relevance and differentiation is important. All of a sudden, it's not about being fast. It's not about, you know, because, you know, wow, we're the best shipping business or logistics business. Right now, it makes no difference. There's nowhere to ship, or there's very limited opportunity to ship, right? Or we're one of the best airlines. Nobody's flying, right? Or we're one of the best uniform companies, or whatever. So you understand that relevance is going to be extremely important. Flattening of the global business. What I mean by flattening is all of a sudden a programmer in Ukraine, a programmer in India, a programmer in California, and a programmer in New York City are sitting in the same position, right? So the only thing that separates you is your uniqueness, your relevance, your differentiation, and it makes absolutely no difference where you are. If I had an advantage yesterday by being in New York City, going over to the meeting, I don't have that advantage anymore. New York City is shut down, right? I'm not suggesting it's going to be like this forever. Obviously, this will pass in 2 to 3 months, but it's something to think about. The true value of the company will be changed based on relevance. So it's not important. It's important to think about relevance, and not just today, but relevance tomorrow. All of a sudden we have to think about, okay, what's going to happen if we have another virus, another pandemic, or if we have something else? And we cannot confuse it with hype, right? So again, you have to have the ability to separate hype from reality and hype from relevance. And the other one that's extremely important, our governor, Andrew Cuomo, basically said that, you know, because everybody's asking us, what is going to be, when are we going to end this? What's going to be our new normal? Well, our new normal is going to be the valve. That's what he said. Valve, you know what the valve is, right? It's the faucet, right? New normal is going to be, we're going to open the valve as much as we can, or we're going to close it, right? And that's going to be our new normal going forward. Okay, so that's something to think about. That's the state of the state, right? And that's how I want to begin this presentation. So now I want us to think about collectively about your business, right? What you're selling, what you're doing, right? And talk about the value, the true value of your business. Are you part of the problem or are you part of the solution? Not just your business, but you yourself. Where do you fit in all of this, right? Are you part of the problem or part of the solution? Are you relevant? Those are the questions you want to ask yourself. What is your true value and how do we calculate it? How do we calculate it right now or how do we calculate it tomorrow? I was talking to an investor a couple of days ago and I was helping a company raise some additional budget, right? And the budget was not very large. It was about $25,000. In some places it's a lot, in some places it's not. And you know what an investor told me? He said, Alex, but what you're asking me for right now is not $25,000 because the value of the dollar is significantly lower now. And the value of the currency is different. What you're really asking me for right now is $75,000. I said, well, how do you mean? I said, well, think about it. What can you buy for $1 today under these circumstances? How valuable is it? Right? And he made me think about the true value and how to calculate that true value. The other question is, are you different? Right? In this world that's filled with IT computer services companies, as an example, or developers or people who sell these services, the question is, how different are you? And we'll talk more about this, right? But something to think about. And the other question is, will you survive? Will you survive physically, you know, or will you survive as a business? Okay. And Ellen, I see some messages coming in, so please, please monitor those. Okay.
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. So what we're going to talk about, the way we're going to do it is not just talk about this, right? You know, as we say in America, you know, bullshit, kind of a, you know, let's get 100 people together and let's chat about this stuff. Well, I'm actually going to give you some tools. I'm going to give you some tools right now during the webinar, and we're going to reinforce those tools in the workshop that's coming up next week. And we're going to talk about readiness. Readiness, in Russian, готовность. Preparedness, readiness, right? That's an English word. We'll talk about the technology readiness. We'll talk about the market readiness. We'll talk about the alignment and scoring, value proposition, business model, and the overall readiness, right? So coming out of this webinar, you will have, I think, a better idea of how to even measure your own readiness. Because, you know, the topic of this is entering markets, right?
Короче, так шутка начало вонять, я сначала подумала, что это проводка.
Okay, Ellen, I think you probably want to hit. You muted me as well.
Yeah, for a second, sorry.
No problem. Yes, just unmute me. Can everybody hear me again?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. So the overall readiness, right? That's what we'll talk about. And why this is going to be important, because guess what? It's not just about entering the US markets anymore. It's entering a very different market. And the market is called post-coronavirus or post-COVID. We're going to be entering a very different market, all of us. It makes no difference whether we're in New York, Tokyo, Kiev, Glivacha, which is my favorite place because I grew up there on my dacha, right? And Kiev, of course, or somewhere else, right? We're going to be entering a very different market, all of us. And we need the tools even more so to do so. Okay, so let's continue. So the technology readiness, which what I call TRL, and not just me, was developed by NASA. It's a model that was developed by NASA. It was adapted by the European Union Commission, or EC, And you can look it up. This is all public information. And there's a scoring that's involved from TRL1 to TRL9. All of this was designed and kind of put together into one methodology based on the Horizon 2020 work program in EC. And it's a very important piece of the puzzle, right? It's almost like, you know, your business is a puzzle, right? And you have to put this puzzle together. I'm going to help you and give you some tools to attempt or to begin to put this puzzle together. Now, the market readiness is, you know, another set of tools to talk about value proposition. You have to have a value proposition, unique value proposition or unique selling proposition. Value proposition canvas is something we're going to share with you with the presentation, right? It's actually a sheet of paper that you can use, and business model canvas is also the something we're going to share with you as well, right? So we're going to give you some tools. Let's continue.
Ребята, вопрос такой сейчас. Сейчас был такой концептуальный вопрос. Мне очень хотелось бы понять, что все понимают по поводу готовности технологии и готовности вашей готовности к рынку.
Нет, не все понял. Не все понял. Если честно, то очень много чего не понял.
Ставьте, пожалуйста, в плюсик. Я сейчас вас замьючу. Ставьте, пожалуйста, плюсик или минусик.
Right. And Ellen, you can do the polling, by the way, throughout the thing, or you could just ask, right? If something is not clear, because I don't see, I'm looking at the presentation, I don't see the screen, and I see that, I see some pluses, I see mostly pluses, right?
Yeah, so, mostly pluses.
Right,
я немного по-русски прокомментирую тогда, если
yeah, of course.
Такое, это просто концептуальный важный момент. Сейчас мы займемся тем, что, собственно, для чего собрались, оценим вашу готовность выходить на рынок Америки, ну и вообще на глобальный рынок.
Right.
Сейчас вам надо, тут видите, от 0 до 9 стоит шкала. И здесь, в принципе, вы можете выбрать, на какой стадии конкретно ваша находится либо продукт, либо сервис, потому что у нас здесь есть сервисные компании. С одной стороны, с другой стороны, вы посмотрите, насколько ваша технология, даже технология предоставления сервиса, может быть, да, насколько она тоже готова к тому, чтобы масштабироваться. Потому что я думаю, что все понимают, что такое мезальянс, что ли, с клиентом. То есть если вы готовы, а клиент не готов, либо наоборот, то у вас по большому счету ничего не получится. Собственно, про это вот этот слайд.
Right. And I'll say the same thing in English in a slightly different way. Ellen, can I ask you also a favor? If you can take some snapshots, if you could do the composite picture of everybody, and if everybody could do their videos and pictures or whatever, that would be great.
Покрупнее слайд сделать, если можно.
I'm not sure about that. Not sure if I can make it bigger, I'll be honest with you. But let me just say something that when you look at the technology readiness and the market readiness, right, you have to look at this within the context of where you are located, right? And this is a really good cheat sheet, right? Or as they say in Russian, shpargalka, right? In terms of where you can place yourself and rate yourself with the scoring system. So for example, if you're the level of idea, you're doing some basic research, and we'll talk about basic research, then, you know, you may be scoring, 1, right? But if you are on the, if you are in the formulation, you need to articulate using a customer user story, your idea, then you may be 2 on the market readiness, and so forth and so on, right? So you have to kind of place yourself there, right? And what happens next is then you combine the 2 scores, right? So the technology readiness levels are used as a method of assessing the maturity of your technology, and every business has a technology. You have a shipping business, it has an underlying technology. You need ships, you need trucks, you need a platform, or whatever, right? You need a scheduling platform. That's a piece of technology without which you cannot operate, right? So it's not just about, even if you're an IT outsourcing or IT services business, right? Your technology is your solution. We'll talk about differentiation. And then market readiness level is the level that's assess the commercial readiness of the technology. You know, are you able to sell it? You know, do you have the sales force? Do you understand how marketing works? Do you have any leads? Do you have a pipeline? And so forth and so on, okay? Have you even traveled to the United States? Have you ever been to a single conference? Or have you visited one of the cities, right? To understand who does what and how they do it, right? So that's not. And then what you do is you begin to map, right? You can map yourself on the technology side versus the market side, and your current score could be somewhere there. Excuse me. Obviously, the mapping, you know, the higher the score, the better, but you can at least see visually where you may be in your particular development. Okay. Again, Ellen, I see some questions there, so please monitor that. And then there's a company called Strategizer, which I'm a client of. I use their stuff. It's a mind mapping company. There are many, but I like their canvases. I like their approach, right? And they have something called the value proposition canvas and the business model canvas. You will have these sheets in your package that we're going to distribute to you, right? And what's nice about the value proposition canvas is that the question you're going to ask yourself is, okay, what is my value proposition? Okay, we'll talk more about this in you know, in how companies approach me and how you can approach companies, potential clients, right? But when right now, especially right now, if I am going to contact somebody, I need to be able to tell them what my value proposition is. And it cannot be anymore, I have better programmers. Or, you know, we sit in the beautiful downtown Lviv, which is very historic. Who cares? I cannot get to you. I cannot fly to you, right, at the moment. So you have to kind of rethink this model, right? So product, services, gain creators, right? What is it that I can create? What is my solution that can give me the leapfrog, that I can, you know, go up and actually capture a piece of market share? And some of the pain relievers. How am I relieving your pain, Mr. Customer? Okay, first and foremost. A lot of people start their presentations with, listen, let me tell you how good we are. I don't care. I don't care about how good you are. I care about how much I need to fix my pain, first and foremost. And you need to know about my pain. And I will tell you more about how to become relevant by knowing what my pain is. And of course, that leads into gains, pains, and, you know, and customer jobs. So that's a value proposition, very important. And the business model canvas consists of many elements. It's a very stark reminder to you about how to actually create a business model, right? Who are your key partners? What is your cost structure? What are your key activities? What are the key resources? What is your value proposition, right, that we just talked about? What relationship of customers do you have today versus which relationships you can get? Channels, revenue streams, and customer segments. Very important. If you cannot fill this sheet or the other sheet, you have to do it. You have to go back and sit down and force yourself to do it. Okay, let's continue. So what we're going to discuss, right? This was kind of an introduction. There are some tools there, very easy to understand. You will take the copy of this presentation. You'll be able to score yourself, and you'll be able to actually create a business model and talk about the business model and your value proposition. We'll now talk about how to use some of these tools, right? So we'll talk about market research, why this is important. We'll talk about marketing and lead gen, something you probably heard many, many, many times before. Funnels, Varonki, this, that, and the other. But don't forget, there's also something called business development and relationship building, right? If I hear an accent from you, if you cannot speak my language, if I know that you're coming from a different geography, my interest level may go up or down, right? So it's very important to be relevant with what I am. If I hear an accent from you, but you are very relevant to my business, I don't care. I'm not going to hear your accent. And that's a big difference, right? You have nothing to say to me and you're struggling to tell me this, I'm not going to pay attention. And then we'll talk about business development and the concept called beachhead, which I think is a very important concept. And then we'll talk about other things as well. Okay, so let's continue. So let's talk about research. A lot of folks, a lot of people dismiss research as, listen, there's just so much of it, it's kind of trivial. You know, it's no big deal. It's no big deal because I can call my buddy. I can go to one particular conference in San Francisco, or I can go I can fly, you know, for a week to New York City, and I'm done with my research. True, that is some research, absolutely. And actually, one of the best ways to do it is to go to a conference or two, if you're allowed, if you have the visa or whatever, you need to kind of overcome this. But if you don't have the visa, or especially right now when we have the coronavirus, it's kind of difficult, but thank God we have internet. Thank God we have so many resources. The question is, where do I find this research that's relevant, right? It's also important to segment and look at the market, look at the customer, look at the competition for that customer, and do a little bit more of the insight development, because you need to understand the language. You need to understand, you know, you need to understand me. You need to speak the same language of that industry, of that particular segment. Okay. So as you could see in the cartoon, you know, books are not a good idea. Our market research shows that people love the feel of stone, and you can understand where that led this particular group in terms of development, right? So here's some of the resources where you can do a lot of research, paid and free, okay? For example, if you are, I don't know what business you're in, right? And it's difficult for me. Maybe, Ellen, we can take a poll in terms of what business everybody is in. And we could say, okay, I'm in the services business, I'm in the product business, you know, I'm in the services and product business, right? At least we'll know that. But if you're, you know, if you're interested in the consumer-based business in the United States, just like you may be interested in the consumer-based business in Ukraine, then Nielsen is a great resource. And by the way, not just based on TV capabilities, but also interactive capabilities. Yes, they're expensive, but there are some free resources available as well. So make sure you look at Nielsen. Arbitron, very, very interesting channel, very important channel, because it shows us a different slice of a consumer business. Arbitron typically gathers the opinion of the consumer from the radio shows. Very important. Very important. Reason for that is because who listens to the radio in the car, right? Many people. Now, who listens to podcasting in the car? By the way, we have a podcast also called Global Edge Talk. We'll talk more about this, but you know, now it's about listening, it's about voice, it's about sound, and Arbitron gives you another slice of the idea of what the consumers may be interested in as they're driving to work, as they're driving from work, particular time, particular demographic, and so forth and so on. And Veronic's research group, it's a Canadian firm, by the way. You know, it's not just about the United States. Our close neighbor, our very close neighbor, regardless of what Mr. Trump says, Canadians and Americans are very close. A lot of things that tie us together, and the behavior of those markets is very, very similar, right? And Veronic's is a very great resource for the Canadian firms in terms of consumer. So this is a great 3-4 consumer-oriented research organizations. Ipsos Reid, again, Canadian. CNR Research, Full Service Marketing Insights Agency. Clear Seas, you know, Doctor Directory, which is, you know, something for healthcare. 700,000 US prescribers and doctors. You know, another healthcare organization called HRA. Irvin Bro Research, and so forth. So there are a lot of market research firms. And by the way, a lot of that, they post a lot of interesting research data that is free. You can actually download it and get it for free. Very important. Multi-sponsor surveys, SIRS, Spectrum Group, Understanding Insights Group. So I've given you something I've used in the past, right, that allowed me to get a really good idea of a particular customer segment, okay? This one is ThomasNet, also very interesting resource that allows you to, for manufacturers, for product-specific companies, in case that you are in that category, allows you by category to look at some of the insights. Some of them are free. And of course, there's internet. Of course, there's, there's a lot of search opportunity. And as long as you know how to search, you have the ability to get a lot of data. Okay, let's talk about targeting and segmentation. Targeting. Very important to play this game, to play this exercise, because targeting leads to customer journey. We'll talk about that. Targeting leads to persona development or persona analysis. Who is your customer? Is it a single woman with a child? Is that an elderly person? Is it somebody who is, who is in healthcare? Is it somebody who is a first responder? Are they a policeman or a policewoman? And so forth and so on. So very important to target the audience, right? I'm a baby boomer, but I use these devices, extensively. And I like tools, right? So I'm kind of an anomaly. What can you possibly sell me, right? You have to understand who your customer is. Segmentation. Very important to segment because you need to understand what tools to use, right? Do you use, it's going to be useless to use email with my 14-year-old because he lives on SMS and he lives on certain platforms and so forth and so on, right? It's going to be useless to market to me via Instagram, even though I have an account, but I'm mostly on Facebook, right? Or I'm mostly on LinkedIn, or I'm mostly on SMS as well, right? So you have to understand that segmentation after targeting so that you can pick the right platform, the right resource, right? And a lot of people think, oh, let's email everybody and let's see what happens. Wrong. Behavioral. Very important to analyze and model the behavior and buying patterns and purchasing nuances for a particular industry. Why behavior is important? Well, all of a sudden, people are buying toilet paper. Why? And the other half of the people asking, why are we buying toilet paper? Oh, in America, we use toilet paper. In Japan...
Проблема в Америке с туалетной бумагой, Алекс.
I'm sorry? No, we don't have a problem. I'm just saying that the hype, right? The hype that I talked about, it's a herd mentality, right? It's a herd mentality. It's like a herd immunity, but there's a herd mentality that says, people will ask them, why are you buying toilet paper? Oh, because I'm afraid that tomorrow somebody else will buy all of it, right? So there's this fear. And why? You have water. You can do what they can do in Japan. You can use water to cleanse yourself. No, we need toilet paper, and so forth and so on. B2B versus B2C. Very important piece right here. I'm sure that there are a lot of B2B companies here, or B2C companies, that is. And one thing they don't realize is that, everybody falls in love with selling directly to the consumer. Everybody wants to sell the product to the consumer. We want to be in control. We want to have the pricing modeling. We want to have all of this and so forth and so on. You have no idea how expensive it is and how unpredictable it is to sell directly to the consumer. Just look at all this stuff that we have to do: targeting, segmentation, behavior, select the platform, select the product, value proposition, blah, 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 blah. Lots and lots of stuff. What's the solution? What's another solution? Aha. If you have a consumer-oriented product or a technology, remember we talked about technology assessment. Maybe you can license this technology to somebody who's already has access to the consumer, like Walmart. You can't beat Walmart, but they're not very innovative. They may not be very technological. You think Amazon is catch me out? You think Amazon is the best? They may not have the technology. And during coronavirus, half of the stuff that they ship cannot be shipped. So all of a sudden, Amazon and Walmart and places like that cannot operate. So what if you have the technology with that a player that already has access can utilize? The reason that places like Ukraine, Russia, China, and others in the distant, not so distant past were not able to leverage licensing is because your laws are very, very difficult. In some cases, they're very non-existent. And that's why it's very important for you to understand that here, the laws are much stronger. And if you're going to license your technology to a big player and they will sell using your technology, you can make a lot of money, or you can make money, not worrying that they will steal something from you or they adapt something from you. You have, especially if you have patents. Competition. Do you have competition? Do they offer something more compelling? Are you well differentiated? Do you have points of leverage? Very important. A lot of people say, when the customer says, do you have competition? The answer is, oh, no, we're the best. We're unique. We're the most unique. We have no competition. Our product is the best. Wrong answer. You must have competition. If you have no competition in the segment, run away from that segment or create competition. Competition is a good thing. Not a lot of it, not too much of it, but some of it. Okay? And this is how, again, this is how you are going to assess the market entry based on some of these parameters. And then how do you start? What are the triggers? Pilots, trials, friends and family, special exceptional occasions, and so forth. I talked to a lot of companies that says, we tried to enter the market and we were not successful. And my question is, have you ever done a single pilot, right? Have you done this beachhead, right? Something that we call the beachhead. Have you actually landed on the market with a small project? And if you didn't, you have to. Some of the examples, okay? Some of the examples that are very visible. I recently met a Finnish startup from Finland, and this woman wanted to open a fitness and wellness service for pregnant moms. Sounds like a pretty good idea. So the first question I asked was, I'm American, she coming from Finland. We met at a party, and I spent 10 years in healthcare and wellness and fitness. I have some expertise, right? She said, Alex, I want to open this in the United States of America, in Manhattan. And I said, wait a minute. What is it that you have that's unique? I mean, we have a lot of pregnant women. We also have a lot of fitness instructors. Look behind me. You see all those buildings? Almost every building on the bottom floor has some kind of a fitness gym, right? And that fitness gym is servicing the entire building with some kind of corporate wellness program or something like this. So how are you going to fit into this overall thing? What is unique? What is relevant? Said, oh, well, we have the Finland is well known for wellness. I have a lot of methodologies. I have a lot of videos. I have a lot of content. I can do a lot of different things. I said, do you realize that half of Manhattan doesn't even know where Finland is? I have no clue. So you have to spend a lot of money to educate the audience to do this, right? I'm just curious, what's in that head of yours? What's in the head of yours when you're trying to do something like this? So I made her think about this. And then she came back to me with a different value proposition and said, you know what? I have some really interesting case studies of a specific technique that I use, and I captured this on video, with some pregnant moms that eases the cramps and provides a very different solution for them. Okay. Oops. Uh-oh, what's going on? Sorry about that. And I said, aha, the light bulb went on. Now you're talking. You have a unique solution that eases the cramps. It's a specific exercise. It's your exercise. Is it a branded exercise? No, it's not branded. Aha, we need to immediately brand that exercise, and so forth and so on. So if you dig a little deeper, you can find that solution. That becomes your product, right? And then all of a sudden, it's a very different value proposition. Next, Ukrainian software development company. How many of you are Ukrainian software development companies? Raise your hand. There's a way to raise that hand. I don't know. Half of you? Many of you? Yeah, Vadim, Andrei, another one. So there are a few, right? And, we have so many, especially right now, we have so many software developers here that are native, that are not native, and so forth. And it's very important for us to understand why is it that you, a particular software development company, why is it that you have the advantage? Oh, but you know, we're so good with some of the frameworks like Symfony and Laravel. We have JavaScript and Java. We have a beautiful downtown office in Odessa, Lviv, and Kiev. We have beautiful buildings. Guys, girls, it's not that important anymore. Listen, look at my slide before. It's not relevant anymore, especially right now. Cost, everybody is driving costs down at the moment. Everybody's trying to survive.
Alex,
So,
I have a question, small
yes.
question. So what are the most probably funniest self-presentations you ever heard from the companies?
The funniest presentations?
Ну, смешные. Какие-то смешные.
I understand the question. I don't know. I think I always laugh when some of the software companies begin to use some of the quote unquote advantages. Yeah, you know, come to Ukraine, and you know, because we have this, that, and the other. We have great bars and discotheques, or we have great this and that. We can't get to you. We cannot fly to you at the moment, right? That's the issue. I'll think of some of the funny ones, and I'll sprinkle this throughout the presentation. There are many anecdotes out there, obviously, but my point is that you need to differentiate yourself, and we'll talk more about this, and there will be an example of how to make yourself relevant, right? I'm going to show you some tips and hacks on how to do this, right? So let's continue. Marketing and lead generation, okay? I hope everybody understands the difference between paid, earned, and owned marketing, right? That's very, very important. And that's the digital marketing trifecta: earned, owned, and paid, right? What is earned? Earned is something that you generate, the content you generate, right? And this is very important, by the way, because each one has its own cost associated with it. And the more you have on the earned side, right, the more you have on the owned side, the better it is, and the less you're going to spend on the paid side. I am a big proponent of not feeding Facebook and Google. I'm a very big proponent of creating your own content. I'm a very big proponent of creating your own unique, relevant property, right? And not giving the bad guys, I'm not sure if somebody's here from Google or Facebook, they're not bad guys, they're good people, but I'm just saying the whole model of making money on speculation, you know, it's like stock market, basically. So what you want to do is you want to have something of your own, right? And what does that mean? It's your website, it's your mobile site, it's your blog, it's your social media channels, it's your content, it's your stuff, it's something you own. Very important. Earned, it's something you earn based on your stuff that you own, right? Because it's unique, and that's a reflection of the market. The more of the earned media you get, the more of a reflection of the market you get that you're doing something right. You're doing something really, really great. And then, of course, anybody can buy ads, right? But even when you buy ads, you have to be relevant. Even when you buy ads, if you want the ads to give you the appropriate amount of investment back and return back, it's very important, right? So I'm not going to go into a lot of details. That's a whole other workshop and webinar. In the workshop, we will dedicate the entire session to advertising, sharing, and web properties, and earned, paid, and owned media, right? Just remember, this is very important, especially now for digital, right? Now, think about it this way. I want us to philosophize a little bit, right? Because it involves the buyer. It involves the value proposition. Before, the buyer was relatively uninformed, and they kind of paid attention as to what is it that you do. Today, they're extremely well informed. I know everything about you and your competition even before you step the foot on my doorstep. So if I'm giving you a half hour of my time, I will very much know what is it that you're talking about, right? Buy a journey. The way I make decisions, look at the way I make decisions. Before, I did not need the toilet paper. Now I need the toilet paper. Tomorrow, I'm going to need, whatever, cleansing stuff and so forth. So today it's very fluid, very random, and it starts with Google and social media. It starts with the search, right? Or maybe some other tools. Marketing playbook, you had to interrupt me. You had to interrupt me with cold calls and, you know, воронkas, you know, and all this other stuff. It's very interruptive. You know, I could just put you into spam. And in the United States, we have some very bad spam laws.
Алекс очень не любит воронки, и очень не любит, когда ему очень много пишут.
They have a purpose, right? But if I hear the word воронка one more time, I'm going to throw up because, you know, and I used them before, and I developed them before, and the team I have that's helping me is doing the same thing. It's a necessary evil, but it's a manipulation. Remember, it's a manipulative type of an approach.
Alex, we have very good question from the room.
Yes, please.
What methods are the most relevant in B2B IT solutions due to the impact of COVID in different industries, and what industries, market niches have the most highest demand for selling IT custom software solutions?
Okay, great. Let's hold that until the actual LinkedIn example, because it's going to be very relevant, right? I don't want to, it's not one question, it's a lot of questions, okay? So let's hold off until then, okay?
Just one mark, we have 5 minutes to 5, so.
Okay, well, we can continue, right? I mean, I think we have, I'm not sure for how long we planned this thing, but I think we can continue until, you know, whenever, until, until maybe for another, you know, 40, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever, okay? Not a problem. So delight customers to turn them into promoters of your brand. Very important. Not just to sell something to somebody and then run away, but to sell something to somebody and stay with them no matter what. You know how many customers I have right now that called me and said, Alex, we're in deep shit with this coronavirus. You know, I have customers that had to fire half of their business. I had customers that had people die from coronavirus, you know, their employees and so forth. And can you imagine asking these people for money right now? So what do you do? How do you handle the situation? And you know what? My relationship with these customers, I didn't have to open my mouth. You know what they said? They said immediately, Alex, I know you're going through the same thing. And you're like a brother to me. And, you know, when one customer said this to me, I almost started to tear. I almost started to cry. And he said, you know what? I have some money. I'm not going to pay this guy and that guy and that guy, but I will pay you. I will pay you. And you know what I said to them? I said, you know what? Pay me half. I understand. I feel your pain. Pay me half right now. We'll figure it out later. I don't have to worry about this right now. I want you to know that I will do anything possible to help you. And this is what I call the relationship. Воронки will not play in this particular scenario, but the relationship will. Very important to develop those types of relationships and hang on to them, right? Because you know what? Your best customers are your existing customers are your best customers. Now, it's statistically, right? So that's why you spend so much in the very beginning. You know, the investment that you are making is amazing. Here's an anecdote for you, Ellen. You said something funny. So somebody emailed me out of the blue, right? LinkedIn, Alex, we're a Ukrainian IT outsourcing company. You know, we're you know, and you know what? Can you introduce me to this one guy, right? I see that you have a guy who is the CIO of this company. And we would love to know, you know, can you make an introduction? So I thought about it. And then after about 4 or 5 of these inquiries, I developed a spreadsheet, right? And I said in the spreadsheet, I said, okay, this particular customer, 17 lunches over the course of 2 years, $355. 55 trips to the office, you know, $150. Invitation to one conference, $3,000. You know, and I gave him an inventory, right, of all the different things that I've done with this particular customer, and it turned into about, I don't know, $5,000 over the course of 2 or 3 years. Of course, I've done business with this customer, right? So I said to this guy, listen, here's $5,000. If you give me 10% of that $5,000, I'll make the introduction. Not only I'll make the introduction, I will introduce you, I will study you, I will help you create a relevant message, and I will make the introduction because I have to feel good about this person. I don't introduce people to strangers, and I don't introduce strangers to people, right? And that's my philosophy. Maybe it's an old-fashioned philosophy, but it's a philosophy, right? And I sent it back to them. He, of course, was smiling, said, I got it. Guess it, and here's what. As soon as we get a little bit more money, or as soon as we get, I will get back to you. And guess what? He remembered this, and a year later, he got back to me and said, look, Alex, I want to hire you to give us some advice, to make some introductions for us, and at least do this for 3 months. And we did this, and it was successful. So my point to you is that the stuff that you do in the very beginning, right, not the stuff that you touch and then run away, is extremely important, especially in America. Especially in America, where relationship is still, or globally, it doesn't matter where relationship still pays, right? And then, of course, once you have that, then you delight the customer, you make them an influencer, you make them a proponent of your own business. Okay, let's continue. We're getting to the good stuff, by the way. We're getting to the good stuff and getting to the message that was asked of me, what is the best segment during COVID? What is the best segment? And I'll give you some examples, right? So attract, get traffic. How do you create a magnet? You create blog content, you create lead magnets, you do optimization, and you promote it on social media. Okay, I don't have to explain this to you. For those who do not know how to do this, come to the workshop. We'll spend more time on this particular piece. Conversion, calls to action. A lot of people forget that, you have to kind of tell people to do something, right? Beautiful landing page, but you forgot to put a button that says, please contact us. Or beautiful landing page and lots of great content. One customer told me, $1 billion software company said, Alex, I don't understand. We created a lot of amazing blogs. We hired the most expensive copywriters and nothing. What's going on? I said, well, first of all, your button, your call to action button is this tiny. I mean, I barely saw it on your landing page, number one. Number two, where are you distributing this? Who knows about this? Oh, well, we send a few emails. I mean, there's $1 billion software company with a PR department, marketing department. I said, I would fire half of your people. Absolutely, save you some money, okay? And that's reality. That's what's happening out there with a lot of companies, large and small, making these very silly mistakes. A lot more of that detail in the workshop. Just can't cover it all, but I think you know what I'm talking about. Get customers, send leads, targeted automated emails to drive. Again, not just the presence of this воронка does not mean that you're done, you're finished. You have to be relevant. We'll talk about the relevant message. I'll give you some example. I'll give you a really great example of when we get to ABM and so forth. And then you delight, you analyze and optimize. You analyze your data. You literally have to go into the rejection list, see who rejected you, and ask a question. Why did they reject me? I've known this guy for 5 years and he doesn't want to talk to me anymore. That's pretty important, right? So more of that in the workshop. Again, attract, convert, close, delight. Very easy one to understand. You'll get this presentation. You'll be able to kind of do this and you'll recognize some of the stuff you're doing, right? You're doing sales alerts, you're doing other things, okay? Now we're getting to the good part, lead gen and ABM. We're gonna turn this воронка, all the beautiful воронка that you've been developing and using, we're gonna turn it upside down completely and throw all that old crap away and talk about the new stuff, okay? So, up until recently, we have been marketing in a certain way. And I personally have been marketing like this all my life. When I was back in IBM Global Services, I've used account-based marketing for a very long time. All of a sudden, this thing shows up and I'm laughing, of course. Like, okay, doing the same shit, calling it a different name. Sounds familiar. It's like fashion, right? Remember platform shoes in the 70s? Well, then they came back again in the 90s. Then they came back in the 2010 or whatever. And you know what? Don't be surprised if 5 years from now, everybody's going to start wearing platform shoes again. Okay? And брюки клеш or something like this. So let's talk about ABM. Strategic approach to sales and marketing where you focus your efforts on the specific, not broad, but specific high-value accounts with personalized messaging. Going back to the IT services, IT outsourcing question. What are the best segments to go after? The ones where you can use your leverage. The ones where you can use your strength. And not many, only a few. Okay, how about that for an answer? So let's dig in. Let's go into a lot of it. Compared to other marketing initiatives, ABM delivers the highest return on investment. Remember that. That was back in 2016, 4 or 5 years ago, right? And Altera Group very recently did something on B2B marketing, and they said that ABM has a much higher ROI than the regular type of B2B marketing, right? So, in a nutshell, what does IBM do? ABM, excuse me. You identify the accounts. You know how difficult it is for a company to sit down and say, you know what? I don't want to market to 500 accounts anymore. I only want to market to 10. That's it. 5 accounts. That's it. Play this game with yourself for a second, right? Go back to your office. If you're in sales and marketing, go back to your office and say to your CEO, listen, I'm not going to market to everybody anymore. I'm only going to market to 5 to 10 people. They're probably going to look at you and say, what the hell? What are you talking about? Your job is to take a fire hose and hose everybody in America. You see this Manhattan? Hose everybody in San Francisco, in America, everywhere, right? Wrong. Tell him to call me. Tell your CEO to call me and we'll have a talk about this, right? Next one, you profile those accounts. You dig deep into those accounts. I'm going to have a very interesting discussion for you, and then we'll get back to your question. Ellen, you will repeat the question again after I go through some of the slides. You create content. No, you don't create content now. You create content after you identify those 5 accounts and you dig deep into it. Then you launch campaigns. You don't launch campaigns now. Don't hire anybody. As a matter of fact, go back to your marketing teams and say, you know what? Wait for the next 10 days. Wait for the next 15 days, or work with me to do this exercise. And then we'll identify the accounts and build the воронkas. Right now, those воронkas make very little sense. And then you measure and analyze, okay? So here's some of the ABM related tools that I've used, okay? Obviously LinkedIn and Sales Navigator. Everybody heard of that. There's ReachForce, there's Dun & Bradstreet, there's Hoover's, the Inside View. This is account data. This is the information I can get on the account, right? So if I picked ADP, or if I picked Sodexo, if I picked American Express, I need to figure out how to, whom to get to. I'll show you how else you can get to them. It's a shortcut, okay? Because these things are very expensive, especially for Ukrainians and the Russians and the Europeans. Americans are being screwed by all these companies, pardon the expression, because they're charged 10, 15, 20,000 a month. Imagine what it's like to get this in Ukraine or Russia or other places, or Belarus for that matter. I hear that there's some folks from Belarus here.
Yeah, we have actually about 15 companies.
Excellent. I love Minsk. I've been to Minsk. I used to work for EPAM. Used to be their head of global marketing for EPAM back in 2007, 2008. And I visited Minsk many times. Love the city, wonderful people, great stuff. I mean, I love Ukraine and Russia as well, but Minsk, very nice. So account scoring, Lead Space, Sales Predict, Lattice, Everstring, some other tools. And then niche solutions like Built With, Datanize, you probably recognize some of those as well. Very important, that they're in your, what we call the tool chest, the war chest, okay? Now, personalized, consistent messaging is key. Again, we'll talk more about this. We'll dig deep into this in the workshop as to how to actually create the message. In the workshop, we'll actually be creating those messages. We'll be based on particular case studies, and we will be creating those case studies for you to solve. And then you will be applying that stuff to your company and then presenting it back to us, right? So it'll be a very interactive type of a workshop where you know, we're going to be the customer, you will be selling to us. Okay. So top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel, you're familiar with all this stuff. Each level in that particular structure, awareness, engagement, you know, as we get to the marketing lead, that's your воронка, that's your funnel, right? So here's what we do. We flip the model, right? We take the, you know, the fishing for everything model that says, oh, let's buy databases. Guys, don't buy databases. They're crap. Don't buy any databases on the street unless it's conference, unless it's proven or tested. Very dangerous. I've seen many companies go out, buy 30,000, 50,000 based on some marketing message, and it's pure crap. It's pure garbage, okay? And, you know, with our spam laws, 3 spams, you're out. Your domain is going to be blocked. So be very careful. You're still okay in Ukraine.
Alex, I have a question about Charles. Basically, what I see in Ukraine, that at least from my experience, Telegram works as a channel.
Yes, absolutely.
What works in US?
Telegram doesn't work in US because Telegram is not being widely used. What's a great, you know, for consumer-based business and even B2B, Reddit is a great new channel. And TikTok, believe it or not, I use TikTok. I have some videos with my daughter on TikTok, and we're actually using, I'm consulting an online banking company in fintech right now. We're beginning to launch a TikTok campaign, right? And, you know, Instagram is used as social media, obviously still programmatic for advertising. And so, but for B2B, ABM is the right approach.
What about Twitter?
Twitter is absolutely fine. I love Twitter, love LinkedIn, because Twitter is very messagey, and it's very, it's great, especially when it comes to different conferences and virtual conferences, you know, and so forth. President Trump is using Twitter, right? Wow. You know, but my point is that it's important to identify for B2B some of this, you know, some of these things that can carry a really great interaction. It has to be interactive, and Twitter is interactive. You can actually, you know, you can actually praise somebody on Twitter. And again, I'll show you a great example of how I use Twitter, LinkedIn, Sales Navigator to get to where I'm supposed to get using ABM, right? So instead of database selection, interest, nurturing, lead conversion, that funnel that goes big net, you know, and now we're getting this one fish after doing all this work. We're going to flip the model. We're going to say, okay, we're looking for this one fish or 5 fish, right? We identify the contacts in that particular company. We nurture that. We go target against them. We study them. We study them in conferences. We study them on Twitter, as you said, Ellen. We study them on LinkedIn. We now have the ability to do surveillance, right? We become the quote unquote the KGB, right? And then we nurture this, and then we convert. And I'm going to show you visibly how I did this. But before we get there, I want you to understand how personalization and consistent messaging is very key in this customer buyer's journey, right? So I've taken this, you know, with ABM, and, you know, I imagine that there's a product called Catalyst, right? And using this, there's an actual product out there. And using this particular customer journey map, I've mapped this out. And again, you'll be able to zoom in on each thing and take a look at it. I made it a little bit easier for you to understand, right? But the buyer journey, right, is extremely important. Mapping out the buyer journey is another thing that we'll be discussing in greater detail in the workshop. But you can always punch in buyer journey and see a lot of different models of how you can do a buyer journey. Very necessary exercise. Yes, Ellen, you wanted to say something?
Actually, no.
No? Okay, sorry. So, for example, if you look at the square here, right, and say, okay, let's say we want to launch a product in the United States, right, and we want to upsell. How do we upsell? What are some of the strategies and channels? You pick that square and you say, okay, personalized digital ads, nurturing emails, instant sales alerts, sales calls and emails. I'm giving you some ideas and some tips and ideas of what to do with a particular block of that buyer journey, okay? But more on that later. Okay, so now's the fun part. We're gonna play a little game, and I'm going to tell you, I'm gonna be that sales marketing person, and my job is to hunt, right? Because it's all about hunting, right? And farming, right? It's not just about hunting, it's also about hunting and farming. And everybody understands the difference, right? Does everybody understand the difference between hunting and farming? Please? Anybody still there? Anybody still paying attention?
Все тут, все
Okay,
тут.
great, great. I see we lost some people, but that's okay. We're recording this stuff. So,
Так, тут некоторые не понимают разницы.
oh, hunting and farming, we don't understand? Okay, that's easy. Very easy. If I'm a salesperson who is hunting for somebody, right? My job is to close, right? Then the account manager is the farmer, right? Once I close somebody and we develop this relationship, we did some business. Remember what I said, the best customer is the existing customer. I pass it over to the business, or I do it myself, become the account manager and nurture. And I nurture the relationship. I take them out to lunch. I become relevant. I send them reminders. I do the, and I'll show you some interesting examples of that, right? Here's an example. My job was to help the company to target specific people in technology, in financial services. This company had a number of different, there were IT services, product company in fintech, and they developed a very interesting platform, and they wanted me to show them how to hunt for a specific person. Here's what I did. I knew that there were 4 conferences in 2019 that were starting in fintech. Money 2020 was the biggest one. Then there was one in Singapore, one in Hong Kong, one in 2020 was in Vegas, and there was another one in London, right? So I had 4 conferences to choose from. So I created a strategy to say, look, I'm going to go to a conference, one conference, but I'm also going to approach, using Twitter. I want to see what the activity is like during the other conferences, right? I can do this from my beautiful 24-inch, curved screen. I don't have to go anywhere, right? Just don't forget to exercise in the morning, right? Otherwise, all that sitting is going to give you hemorrhoids. So I started monitoring the hashtag on Twitter for Money 2020, and I came across a tweet from, this is a real story, from Tony McLaughlin, who is Citibank's head of emerging payments and business development. Aha. So this guy is selling payment systems for Citibank. Okay? And he is emerging payments. I have his title, right? I plug him into Sales Navigator immediately, right? And his message was very powerful. He just did one tweet off the stage. He said, if you're on the seller platform side and add or pour lending on top of it, meaning imagine you're Amazon and or your e-commerce site and you're selling something, guess what? And it's a $5,000 ticket item or $5,000 ticket item. If you add somehow the lending part, your conversion for sales goes 45%. So what that means is that if I'm buying something, but I don't have the money, and I have lending options, meaning I can borrow money to buy this item, my conversion goes 45%. So I can convert into lending and then buy the item, right? Especially if I can do this in the integrated fashion. Everybody understood it, right? Simple to understand, right? I'm selling something, I'm a seller. I am now adding a lending piece to it, okay? So using Sales Navigator, so I said, aha. So you have to be able to, you have to be able to notice this relevance with this relevant stuff, and then have to start thinking about, oh, wait a minute. So this guy, so if I have a lending solution, or if I have a technology, if I'm the IT outsourcing company that has experience in lending and e-commerce solutions, I can already talk to this guy, because at least I need to find out what's going on, right? Why is he so interested in this? That was the stuff that he did off the stage. It must be interesting. So I'm using your Sales Navigator, $60 a month, jump on Tony's profile and like his tweet. right? So I'm now, you know, I'm sitting in front of my you know, spaceship, right? And with all these different tools with my mouse and hunting for Tony, right? I'm hunting now, right? By the way, this entire exercise took me a half a day, not more than that. But the return was in hundreds of thousands for that company, right? So this is why it's important.
I had a very similar story with Petr Chernyshov, the president of Kyivstar. Actually, I did the same on Facebook. So I connected him on Facebook and then met him personally in the company.
Right. So hunting, this was part of hunting, right? And I love to hunt, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm a born hunter, right? Farming is good, but it's kind of boring after a while. It's good for the account managers. I'm still okay to go to lunches and to entertain, you know, to do entertainment, but farming is not as fun as not as much fun as hunting. Anyway, so I jump on Tony's profile. I like his tweet and connect to him via LinkedIn and write to him in LinkedIn directly, right? Remember, we need the tools. So I said, I enjoyed your presence at Money 2020. I was there too, and totally agree with your statement. Not only that, I have a partner, company X, Y, and Z, that can easily enable Citi and Citi's partner ecosystem with necessary components to add lender modules or APIs to the existing or new infrastructure. Let's discuss. Did everybody understand what I just did? I did 4 things. A, I found the individual. Number 2, I understood the message. Number 3, I wrote to him directly in a very personalized way. Not, Alex, we have beautiful IT services company in downtown Lviv, and here's the long list of platforms that we are very capable of doing. Like, how relevant is this? Now, this is hyper relevant. This is super relevant. I'm literally saying to this guy, I saw you on stage and I totally agree. And by the way, I can enable you, or we can at least talk about this, right? So not only that, by going to Sales Navigator, I see his entire team. I see everybody that he is connected to because I'm paid, right? So bingo. The next day, Tony accepts my invitation on LinkedIn. I'm like, woo, celebrate, right? And via Sales Navigator, that opens up everything, right, to me as a salesperson. So I know all of his lieutenants now. I know everybody who's connected to. He took my bait. He took my bait. Now, was it incorrect for me to say that? Absolutely not. They have the solution. We can discuss it. By the way, if they do not have all of the solution, they can develop it. This is where my beautiful developers in Lviv, Odessa, and Kiev can do anything message comes in, right? This is where this message becomes even more relevant, because he's going to ask you, oh, so by the way, guys, do you know how to develop APIs? Because we have this really difficult API that we could not. Of course, you know, we're Ukrainian developers, and we're Belarusian developers. We can do anything. We can integrate a toaster with the microwave oven. What are you talking about? Okay. So Tony accepted my invitation. I reveal additional members of his organization in London. And now I can target them further. I can now begin my process, right? So that's where his entire team is now get a lot of messaging from me and so forth. Sales Navigator further exposes more context, relevant context. I can now friend or connect other relevant people, and I can refer this conversation to those people. It becomes even more relevant. I can now say, you know, I spoke to Tony McLaughlin, because, you know, Citi is a big organization. I can now go to hunt. I have a big rifle now, right? And I have bullets in the rifle, one of which is the Tony conversation. He liked it. He got it, right? And I can now, I'm already friends with Tony. So his background also reveals that his past employer is ABM AMRO, HSBC, and other relevant companies, that I can now go after as well. And I see that he has some relevant reviews from those people that he is still friends with. So now I'm doing more digging. I'm doing more hunting. Okay, I have his entire network at my fingertips. He opened the Pandora's box for me based on this one relevant message. So the question is Twitter relevant? Of course, but you can't be afraid to be irrelevant. You can't be afraid to be direct. You can't be afraid to be personalized. You can't be afraid to dig some research. Now I will never talk to Tony without any type of preparation. I will always follow him and follow his entire, because, you know, Tony has an ego. Tony loves the fact that I noticed him. Tony loves the fact that I agree with his message. Tony loves the fact that I zoomed in on his problem. Tony loves the fact that I have a solution to his problem. We didn't even talk about Lviv or Kiev or Minsk or anything else like that. We're just talking about Tony right now. So I got lucky, or maybe it was calculated luck, right? So I picked up on Tony content at conference. We're now both covering it. And now I have a hook. Now, I am in sales. I'm in control. I now tell my marketing organization, I said, listen, guys, now you have a purpose. Because what I'm going to be doing now is doing the same thing. I'm going to be doing the same thing with other accounts like that. So I tell marketing, a simple search string, adding lending to selling platform produces a fresh piece of news, because this must be a trend. If Tony is talking about this, this must be some kind of a trend. That means that beyond Tony, I can also talk to other people. If it's a trend, I can do it. So I find Payoneer. I'm sure you're familiar with who Payoneer is. And I realized that they add financial tools for Amazon, Walmart, e-sellers. And now I can target Payoneer. And I can target Payoneer. I can now target Payoneer competitors. And I can now understand that Payoneer is now installed at Amazon and Walmart. And I can dig deeper and deeper and deeper. And instead of filling my pipe drive or my Salesforce or whatever you're using for CRM or HubSpot CRM with useless contacts that I purchased for $5,000 or whatever, I'm sniping. I am a sniper. I am a hunter. I go and I find all the stuff that's available in front of me. And this is the art and the science of it, right? I'm becoming the scientist of this, okay?
Alex, I know that you like B2B sales a lot.
Yes.
And you have plenty of slides, and it's 5:25, so
Yeah, we're getting there. We're almost there. Sure. Thank you. Thank you for this reminder. Luck, coincidence, unlikely. It is relevant because I have the product and the service to offer to Tony. I prepared a carefully crafted letter which I can target Tony and others in the organization. My marketing organization can now fetch any email address to me using Navigator if needed. And I zero in, knowing that I can deliver on the solution of adding lenders to sellers. I now have a solution. I can now differentiate myself and zoom in. And instead of saying I'm one of many IT services organizations, I can now say I am one of the very few organizations that can add lending to selling, and we have the API. We can develop the API. I have something to grab onto, right? Now I can single out Payoneer and all the customers, all of the competitors. There are other payment providers out there. I can be in the middle of this. I can now go and tweet about this stuff. I can now throw more oil on fire, and so forth and so on. So, and then I go into my database and identify, and all of a sudden I find that from the other 3 conferences, I have more people that are doing the same thing and I can target, right? So now my database has become a lot more relevant because I can now do some digging. The above is an illustration of a very carefully orchestrated teamwork between marketing and sales with content, social, email, retargeting, and sales working together, okay? Now I have a purpose. I've created the solution, and it was not just out of my but excuse the French, I created a solution based on real life story from a real life potential customer. Identify use cases via tweets, news items, and messages as part of it. Using Sales Navigator, Active Campaign for CRM or marketing automation, research tools, pipe drive, landing pages, and so forth. I can now create an entire landing page. I tell marketing, okay, create me a landing page on landing and selling together, okay? I want some tweets on this. I want this, I want that, and so forth. So one tweet, one piece of news, one use case, and now I have the validation and the campaign ready to go. All I have to do is execute from end to end, okay? Okay, quickly on, we're gonna play a little game. Quickly on New York, I'm sorry, on business development. In New York, Dallas, Philly, Los Angeles, you have 30 seconds to earn the next 30 minutes. Now, let's talk about face-to-face. This is what we call the elevator pitch. So when the corona is over, and you guys are gonna come over and say hello to us, right? You may be in the conference, you may be, having some conversations, or you may be in the presentation like this one, right? And you have 30 seconds to capture the attention. Remember, 30 seconds, your first 30 seconds is going to capture your next 30 minutes, right? Very important to do this. And you have, this is kind of a circle, right? Again, we'll talk more about this in our workshop. And they want you to, here's what's important in this 30 seconds, right? They don't want to hear about you. They want to hear about themselves. They want to hear a story about their company, not your product. They want to know that you understand their business and they don't give a shit about your business. They want this to be about them, not you. Remember that. Always about them, right? They want to see the value and ROI. Once you do, you have to ask. You have to ask for something. And they want you to optimize your solution for their needs, right? So, storytelling. Now we're going to flip we're going to flip this to you. Ellen, I'm going to ask you to help me with this, okay? And in 3 minutes, I'm going to give you 3 minutes. I want you to, we're going to take some volunteers who are going to tell us in English, based on this exercise, I want you to write a clear summary of your company that anyone can understand in 7 words, okay? 7 words. I'm going to take a little bio break for 3 minutes, and you are going to, Ellen, you're going to pick 3 volunteers who are going to tell us after 3 to 5 minutes about their company in 7 words. And we're going to see who has the best description that is relevant, that is solving my problem based on your solution, that is going to catch my attention in that 30 seconds, that is going to, maybe raise my eyebrows a little bit, right? And so forth. So here we go, okay? I want everybody to do the exercise, but then I want Ellen to pick the 3 lucky people to tell us about this, okay?
Хорошо, ребята, итак, 3 минуты есть написать ваше summary о компании и о том, так, что там написано было, clear vision about your company. 3 минуты засекаем, пишите в чат. Кто хочет из тех, кто напишет в чат, потом выберем и зачитает. 3 минуты.
Леночка, извините, пожалуйста, не понял еще раз, переповторите, пожалуйста. Что написать нужно? Не слышу.
Надо написать небольшое summary, краткое содержание. Summary, как по-русски summary?
Представление компании.
Короткі новини про себе, коротка суть своєї компанії.
Суть вашей компании, вашего продукта. 7 слов.
Понятно. Спасибо.
Так, ребята, кто готов? Я вижу, Андрей Гадай готов. Юрий Бездев. Кто еще готов блеснуть? Summary в компании. Хорошо. Давайте Эдвард Руденко, Оксана Чопак и Андрей Гадай тогда скажут презентуют свои компании в 7 словах. Алекс, ты с нами?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
Okay, so let's do it again. I'm going to share my screen again. And, well, no, I'm not going to share my screen, but we're going to, Ellen, you're going to pick 3 people, right?
Yeah, I already did.
Okay, excellent. Let's do it. And then I'm going to tell you about my company and the string that I created in 7 words. Okay?
Yep.
Okay.
Андрей,
who goes first?
Андрей Гадай.
Yeah, sure. So should I just say 7 words so I can explain more?
Listen, I'm the customer you're selling to me. Tell me whatever you want me to tell you.
I see. So the 7-word phrase I wrote is automating e-commerce businesses with just a few clicks, so that it can be like easily understand what we are doing.
Okay.
But, yeah, that is it. I'm not sure if I should tell more or not here.
No, that's listen. That was the exercise, and you did the exercise. Then we'll see who has the best one. Okay.
Okay, good.
Who's next?
Эдвард Руденко.
Hello, guys.
Hi.
My name is Edward. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for good presentations, Alex. And main idea of my company, we are create reliable IT solution for B2B market. Because reliable, this is important for business.
Relabel.
Reliable, yes. Stability
okay.
and reliable.
What is relabel? I'm confused.
Reliable.
But you have my attention. What is relabel?
Надежная. Проверенная,
reliable. I got it.
Sorry, reliable.
Okay. I thought maybe there was something interesting. Relabel. You're relabeling something or whatever. Okay. Yeah. So it's reliable IT solutions for what?
For B2B market.
I see. Okay. Who is next?
And Оксана Chopper.
Hello.
Hello, Oksana.
I am Oksana. I am a founder of Kidium. We create some Airbnb for kids activities, goods, and organizations. We create.
Say it again. You create what?
Some marketplace like Airbnb for kids activities, goods, and organizations.
Okay, interesting. Okay. Anybody else? Maybe a couple of more people that want to jump in? Let's make it 5 people instead of 3.
May I take your word, guys?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Vadim, and I represent my company does custom mobile development for business, financial, and healthcare domains.
Custom development for, say it again?
Business, financial, and healthcare domains.
Okay, all right. Anybody else?
One more person. Who else?
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like
That's it, I guess, right? Anybody else? No?
Yeah, please.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so we are providing a Chrome extension for increasing your YouTube videos and making your YouTube channel more meaningful using data and using real traffic from YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook.
Got it. Okay. All right. All right, guys. So, and then I'm going to say what I came up with, and then we're going to talk about this. I'm going to actually critique some of your stuff. Okay. Our slogan is different, and we'll see the difference. Our slogan is the following: when you expand, we help you focus. When you expand, we help you focus. Okay. So let's talk about the differences between your slogan and my slogan. Almost everybody, with the exception of Oksana, I've heard some variation from Oksana, again, repeated the same thing that I was talking about. You told me about what you do. We develop blah, blah, blah. We have the e-commerce solution. I have this. I have that. What did I say? When you expand, we help you focus. So I spent some time. I understand that this was like, you know, very dynamic and you need more time for this, right? But I want you to think about it. What did I do in my statement? I said, when you expand, that's your problem. That's your, you know, you want to expand. I'm helping you. This is my business to help you. And what am I helping you to do? Focus. And that's kind of a dichotomy, right? You understand what the dichotomy is? The dichotomy is the opposite of what people would expect. So it caught my attention. Because when you expand, you think that you have to do everything, right? You have to do a lot of different channels. No. When you expand, we're going to tell you how to go into that building right there, over there in the bottom there, right there. That particular building, that's what we're going to help you with. Out of all of this entire building. And that's the difference. You understand the difference?
I think yes. So if I rephrase my statement, if I say the next one, when your e-commerce business expands, we help you automate. Will it be the correct one?
That's much, much better. Or you can say even more radically, when your e-commerce business is in trouble, we help you with blah, 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 right? Or you can say, in the time of, in the case of Vadim, right? If you're targeting healthcare, what a great opportunity. We're in the middle of a freaking, you know, disaster, a healthcare disaster, right? So if I am an organization that is absolutely scared to death about what's going to happen with my resources, what's going to happen with my programmers, what's going to happen with my whomever, right? So, Vadim, maybe your message should be, in the middle of disaster, we help you get some sense, or we help you get some, you know, with the solutions for some disastrous, you know. So I mean, you can be, this is what you do. If you're not a marketer, if you're a salesperson, you sit down with a marketing person and you develop that message. That's the value of a marketing person. You tell them, listen, I want a really nice, relevant message, right? I want some creativity, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I got it. Thanks.
You understand the difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Edward? Do you want to refine your statement? Do you want to say something different about your company?
Yes.
Okay, please do.
We create reliable IT solution for business, for IT market, and we can help improve your business.
Okay. Not there yet, because what I still am not hearing is I'm not hearing it about me. You're starting with we, right? What about me? Think of me.
Okay, I'm thinking about, thanks.
Yeah, forget about you. You are not important. I mean, you're
Do
important.
you give me some example?
Okay. You know, I ask you 3 questions, and I'll create a slogan for you right away. Tell me about your 2 or 3 most successful projects. In what segments were they? In what sectors were they?
First of all, this is a retail.
Retail?
Yes. The second, this is healthcare.
Okay. Nice.
And the third, this is a Horeca.
This is what?
Horeca. Hotel, restaurant, cafe.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
What?
Edward, you're kidding me, right? I mean, you have a project in healthcare. We're in the middle of the major healthcare disaster in the world. Retailers are sucking wind right now in a big, big way. They're trying to cut costs. Amazon can't ship half of the products. Can you imagine what's happening with all the other e-commerce companies? They're in huge trouble. Hotels, they're all empty. Okay, so we identified the 3 problems in your sector, right? Okay, now, what can you do to help me if I'm a retailer that is not operating right now, or we're retrenching, we're thinking, Jesus, what are we gonna do, 3 months from now when the whole thing restarts? If I'm a hotel, how are we gonna survive? Airbnb is discounting all of their, apartments or whatever by 50%. How we're going to do? What is the biggest thing that you can give me at the moment to solve my problem? Let's think about it.
I need to think about.
No, let's think together. We have a couple of minutes. Let's think together. I mean, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but that's a good exercise that everybody can understand. So what do you have? You got what? You got developers?
Yeah.
Okay, what kind of developers?
What kind of developers? So what?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, you develop some solutions for healthcare. What kind of developers do you have that develop those solutions? What is it unique about those solutions?
Java.NET, PHP, Python.
Okay, that's good. That's a list of developers that only IT person would understand. Now, let's say you're talking to a business person. What does that mean to me as a business person? I'm a head of operations for a hotel, for a major hotel chain. What is it that you can give me? I'm a CFO. I'm a head of operations. I mean, the Java, Python, I think everybody, there's, I don't know how many Python developers are in Ukraine right now. Thousands, hundreds of thousands. All right. So what is it that based on your experience, what can you give me? Can you save my cost somehow? Because I'm saving, I need to save money. Can you help me with that? Do you understand my business?
Think about this.
Do you understand my hotel business, by the way? Because you've done some projects, right? Okay. Can you
Good questions.
Okay.
Thanks.
So if you have the skills, if you have the knowledge of my business, and you have developers that can save me cost because you're in Ukraine, and I have to pay my guys $100 an hour or $80 an hour, and I can pay your guys $30 an hour, that could be something there, right? But it has to be relevant, right? So I want you to go back and think about it, not now, but I want you to think about those things that I just said, right?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Alex.
Okay,
Good.
okay, let's go and let's wrap this up, okay? I'm going to share my screen again. And we're going to wrap this stuff up. But I think you understand what I'm talking about, right? And we're getting into the same issue of relevance, right? So I want you to go back, guys, and complete your stories in 10 more words, right? I want you to sit down with the marketing departments, the marketing people, and make them understand how we're going to approach this. I want you to map yourselves with the business model. I want you to leverage what you have, extremely important. My goodness, you're sitting on the gold mine. You've done healthcare projects. You've done retail projects. You've done hotel projects. This is like, wow. Okay. Benefits and solutions. Who do you help? Who are the primary clients? What keeps your client away at night? Not many people are sleeping right now. I can tell you that. I'm not sleeping very well because I'm worried. Everybody's worried. What is the pain? What is my pain? Imagine being in charge of a hotel or a hotel chain, right? What is your solution to my problem? What do you offer? What is your painkiller? Remember the canvas painkiller? What, why, and how we've established that. Can you tell me a story? Tell me a story I want to hear, okay? And then that's a great video, by the way, on how to describe biology in 7 words, right? The word biology, which is, very scientific or whatever, but you'll be able to watch it later. Okay, so again, from idea, concept to market and deal pipeline. Business plan and assessment. Here's what we've done so far, very quickly. Business plan assessment, market research, strategic assessment, discovery, value proposition, storytelling, and execution, right? And here's your little map. We'll dig very deep into this in the workshop next week, very deep, right? We'll pick it apart based on the case study. And just like we did this interactively just now, we're going to do it in a lot more depth next week, right? And the winner is going to be that company, just like Vadim's company, that is going to receive our help in how to identify, target, and go after a particular segment, a particular customer. In summary, here's what I want you to do, 10 takeaways. I want you to remember 10 things, very simple. Segmentation targeting, extremely important. Nuances. Yes, when you come to New York City and New Jersey or San Francisco, remember that Sopranos, right? Remember that mafia stuff? It's all true. It's all true. That means that you have to build relationships, not just do varonkas. Sopranos doesn't give a shit about varonkas. They want to build relationships. They want to shake your hands, you know, social distancing type of hands, right? Relevant. You need to be relevant. You need to solve the problem. Don't forget you have competition. And this particular audience, this 60 to 80 people, I'm sure there's a lot of competitors over here, right? Well, just imagine this 20 or 30 or 40 people are going to be calling on the same customer. What's going to separate you from the other 20? Innovate and differentiate. Don't bother coming here. If you're not going to innovate and differentiate yourself, we don't need you guys. We have our own. We have also the ones from Philippines and the ones from Mexico and the ones from Canada and the ones from God knows where, India, right? B2C versus B2B. Remember that. If you have a product that could be licensed, very important. You can license it. Don't have to spend a lot of money on going directly to the consumer. Patents and lawyers. I don't trust a lot of lawyers. And if you have a technology that can be patented, that could be a plus. But doesn't have to be very expensive, a very difficult proposition. Look inside of your products. Even if you're an IT outsourcing company, maybe you have a product there. Maybe there's something you can license. Maybe something you can patent, right? Lists. Email marketing is alive and well, but remember, don't buy lists off the street. Develop your own from conferences. You see what I did? My list doesn't have to be thousands. My list could be hundreds. That's all I care about. Associations, there are a lot of them. Don't forget, that's how you can learn. You can become a member of an association or chamber of commerce or an industry association very inexpensively, right? And digital marketing, social media, you see how I use Twitter. You see how I use LinkedIn. You know, you can do it yourself. Set aside some time and go hunting. Hunting is important. And remember then, data analytics, metrics, you know, we love numbers. Americans love numbers, right? So be relevant, be driven by numbers, be driven by statistics. And that's going to be a key to success. So next week we have a workshop. We have an early bird price for a 3-day interactive workshop, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We cover a lot of different topics. We cover real life case studies. And then the following week, you're going to present the case study to us, okay? And the prize is going to be a 3-hour consultation, very deep, dinner and a bottle of wine, right? That's going to be delivered to you in the social distancing kind of a thing, remote delivery. We're going to have a 20 people limit, not like right now, 80 or whatever, very intimate. We're going to be breaking people into 4 groups or 5 groups and actually make them compete for the best presentation of the case study, okay? And we're going to be using in more depth US focused methodology and approach. We're going to have 2 guests, Marla Bass and Michael Casey. Marla will talk about customer success and customer experience. She is a decorated veteran from ADP, from Sodexo, from American Express. Michael Casey is a great entrepreneur, built hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue from sports and fitness equipment, manufactured in China, TED speaker, amazing group. We're going to be doing this in the interactive kind of a live setting with group type of a scenario. And it'll be a lot of fun and a very, very educational type of an exercise. And that's it, folks. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Any Q&A, Ellen, it's your show. However you want to do it.
Ребята, сейчас есть возможность задать Алексу вопросы. У нас время вышло, но есть возможность задать еще, я думаю, минут 10-15 у нас есть на Q&A session.
Да, пожалуйста. Я еще с вами.
У меня есть вопрос, но, к сожалению, я не знаю, как хозяйка позволит его озвучить.
Знаете, вот этот вопрос, мы не сможем на него ответить, потому что он непонятен. Он не относится к теме семинара. Давайте по продажам. Кто уже продает вообще на рынке Америки? Давайте руку поднимите, кто продает. Раз, два, 3 человека продают. То есть в основном интересует, я так понимаю, все-таки больше... Почему молчите? Почему не задаете вопросы?
Устали, наверное. Алекс очень...
I had a question.
Да, yeah, please.
Алекс, вопрос такой. Есть такое правило, для того, чтобы продавать, нужно понять, как покупают. Как покупают американцы?
Как покупают американцы? Ну, это вопрос не на 1 минуту. Почему? Потому что в каждом секторе, в каждой компании, я бы даже сказал, есть своя культура. Правильно? Вот. Обобщать очень трудно. Я вам скажу только одно, что американцы любят... Что американцы любят? Да? Я вам говорю так по-английски, могу по-русски. Americans love to be sold to, but Americans love to be, like anybody else, it's a human psychology. They want something that's relevant to them. Again, I keep saying the same thing over and over and over again. И вы мне показали, you showed me that we need to do more. You guys need to develop more of that understanding that relevance to me is important. If I was not relevant with the Citigroup guy, with Tony, right, he wouldn't have answered. Trust me, he would not have answered. So Americans love when they're being sold to, but you have to sell properly. You have to sell in a very smart way. You have to sell in a very relevant way. You have to hook me, right? I think anybody is like this. So my first message is Americans are no different than Ukrainians or Belarusians or Russians. We're all people. We're all behave in a very similar way, whether we're a consumer or a B2B buyer. We're people. You're selling to people. You're not selling to buildings. You're not selling to cars. You're not selling to skyscrapers. You're selling to people. And you need to understand people.
Я могу один про себя рассказать.
Please.
Как мы зацепили очень крупного клиента. Это компания, которая работает с НАТО. По большому счету, они ставят оборудование, полностью обеспечивают IT-инфраструктуру НАТО. Я узнала из достоверных источников, что эта компания, как вы понимаете, что эта компания собирается заходить в Украину. Как вы понимаете, контакты таких компаний, они на LinkedIn вы их не найдете, и особенно вообще, в принципе, это запрещено политиками безопасности находить, выставлять, что вы работаете в такого рода компании. Вы сделали вообще очень просто. Я попросила нашего американского партнера написать имейл, просто имейл на info. Содержание такое, что мы знаем, что вот так-то и так-то у вас планируется такой-то, такой-то проект, давайте мы вам в этом поможем. Здесь произошел совершенно, они, конечно, обалдели от нашей осведомленности и сделали нам встречу уже в Киеве. Они когда приехали, было очень такое смешное совещание. 5 полковников таких, знаете, морпехов с их стороны, и мы там пришли 2 девушки, еще гендиректор и еще 1 вице-президент, и вот так вот мы зацепили такую фиш. Будьте креативными. Тут основной момент — это надо быть осведомленными о том, действительно, что надо вашему клиенту. То есть вот писать просто там, что мы вас осчастливим, ну, знаете, это ни о чем. Надо конкретно, четко понимать pain point. То есть мы знали, что им нужен trusted локальный интегратор. Удовлетворяет определенным критериям, которые понимают, что такое безопасность, да, которые clever enough для того, чтобы с ними иметь conversation.
The other thing that Americans love, they're very open people, right? They like to do business in a very transparent way, for the most part. And they like interaction, right? I'm actually very surprised that I don't see a single, with the exception of Ellen, I don't see a single video from you guys. That doesn't instill confidence to me. If you're going to sell to me, I want to touch you. You know, I want to see who is out there, right? We have a lot of, a lot of beautiful people here, and we can't, we can't touch you. We cannot see who this is, right? I understand, my hair is not good, and I don't have the right shirt, and all this other stuff. Authenticity. Americans love authenticity. That means that you are real. You're not fake. Okay? So honesty, no fakeness, solve my problem, be relevant, be creative, think, right? Do some research. Don't come to me and tell me something I already know or forgot five years ago. Tell me something new. Or at least tell me, appease me. I mean, they're very egotistical. We all are, right? If I'm going to say, Andre, by the way, I saw your presentation last week. Excellent. I loved it, right? It makes you feel good, right? It's like Donald Trump. He loves when everybody praises him, right? He absolutely hates when somebody criticizes him. He wants to hear, yeah, but you have to deliver first and foremost, right? So that's what Americans love. If I was to generalize, but of course, every individual is different, right? But be open. Don't be afraid to be a human. Don't be afraid to be, to open yourself, to show yourself. Don't be afraid to say, listen, I'm in the same shit that you are in. And you know what? I'm going to use my creativity. I'm going to use I'm going to use an opportunity to solve your problem, because I know healthcare industry, right? Edward, I know healthcare, I know hotels, and I know retail. Thank you, Oksana, for showing your video. Hello.
Hello, Alex. Я не знаю, я, наверное, на русском и на английском.
Okay, fine. I understand Russian. I can answer in English.
Окей. Елена, я благодарю за чудесную организацию. И Алекс, я тоже. I'm very excited for your professional background and experience. Собственно говоря, у меня уже был вопрос касательно индустрий. Я по сути, представлюсь, меня зовут Ксения. Я sales executive компании FreshCode. FreshCode занимается софтверными решениями. То есть, по сути, это инженерные решения, которые решают, скажем, боль клиента, если мы говорим именно вот о боли. Ну, дальше уже мы подтягиваем все технологии, текстеки и тому подобное. У меня, собственно говоря, вопрос, касающийся как индустрии, так и ментальности и, наверное, культуры поведения именно американского народа, потому что есть американские у нас клиенты, 50/50, европейские, есть клиенты всего мира. И на данный момент то, что я вижу, например, я очень плотно с Германией общаюсь и с UK. У меня вопрос, как поведенческая модель бизнеса, ну, потому что бизнесом управляют все равно люди, меняется в связи все-таки с импактом COVID-19. То есть я имею в виду, я знаю, что у многих есть 2 категории клиентов, которые на локдауне поставили свой бизнес, а есть те клиенты, которые все-таки growing, они все-таки развиваются, и они усовершенствуют свои решения и тому подобное. Как американцы, вот именно, я очень много тоже отчетности, аналитики читаю, но мне важно вот услышать ваше мнение, потому что вы внутри, вы среди этих людей крутитесь, да, и мне важен вот этот фидбэк, да, чтобы почувствовать, насколько импакт COVID-19 повлиял, насколько они готовы двигаться, развивать дальше свои, например, бизнесы. Я сейчас говорю больше о компаниях middle size enterprise.
Understood. Listen, the enterprise right now and the middle-sized companies and obviously the small companies feel it tremendously. The big enterprise companies, and I have a friend who works at Accenture, for example, right? Accenture is a huge company. Everybody is sitting home under quarantine, number one. Number two, everybody's doing this, what we're doing, right? They're communicating, they're trying to, but everybody is kind of frozen right now. I'll be very honest with you. There's not a lot of planning going on at the moment. Mm-hmm. Everybody's kind of waiting to restart the economy, but nobody knows what that means, right? And my prediction, it's not going to be a switch. It's not going to be a flip of a switch. Oh, let's go fly to each other and so forth. It's going to be very, very controlled and very, very gradual, right? So what is it? What are you supposed to do if you already have existed? What I would do in your particular case, especially if you already have the customers, that's what I'm doing right now. I speak with my existing customers on a daily basis. I want you to go back to the existing customers, right? And say, existing customers, how can I help you with this very horrible situation? What can we as an organization do with you to alleviate some of the pains? What are your pains, right?
На самом деле, вот все эти моменты мы очень детально будем разбирать на воркшопе.
Right.
Как вести себя, как сделать pivot с вашей стратегией текущей работы с клиентами, новые рынки. И уже будет возможность более детально, конкретно про вашу компанию поговорить про то либо другое. Так, мы уже совсем за пределы времени. Я бы хотела несколько...
Лен, давай я отвечу сейчас еще один момент, и будет очень важно. And then we'll stop. Ksenia, specific to this, now is the time for your company and other companies to make some investments, okay? This will show some really good faith. So for example, you could go back to your customer and say, listen, we would love to do something for you, okay, at this time. What can we do? Can we, I don't know, can we add additional resources? Can we lower, can we postpone the payments? Can we lower our rates only for 2 months, 3 months, something like this? Can we donate something to you, right? Now is the time to show good faith. Now is the time to show goodwill, okay? Because goodwill always sells. Goodwill is the best seller out there, right? And they will appreciate it, right? But you need to understand also what the issues are. If it's a hotel, and they're closing the hotel, maybe now is the time for us to take a look at some of the projects that we put in the long sack, right? And put it somewhere else. Maybe we need to take some of the projects right now and take a look at some of the projects we tabled because we were too busy. Now we're not that busy. We're a little bit less busy. And Ksenia, you could say to your customer, say, you know what? How about we take some of those projects that you were putting on the back burner, and I will assign 2 or 3 guys to at least take a look at the strategy, take a look at some of the tactics, and help you plan for those things. So when the whole thing is back, you're going to be ready. Let's help you prepare. Okay? Do you understand what I said? Ksenia.
Yes.
You understood, right?
Yes, sure. Yeah, Ksenia.
So, ребята, я еще раз хочу обратить внимание, что у нас 20 апреля начинается воркшоп. Это где мы действительно будем очень детально прорабатывать всех участников, те, кто будет участвовать. Стоимость участия $300, это еще цена сегодня и завтра. Завтра, начиная с 16 апреля, цена будет повышаться. Будет $400, и уже ближе к мероприятию уже 600. Большое всем спасибо, что вы пришли. Я надеюсь, что вы дадите позитивные фидбэки. Будем благодарны за отзывы на сайте на Facebook Jet Technology, и Алексу будет очень приятно, если вы что-нибудь приятное напишите.
And I would love to have a, you know, I would love to have a more interactive picture, but I didn't see anybody doing the video, but that's okay. It's up to you guys.
Ты немножко всех загрузил.
Кем загрузил?
Да, ну, информация, я думаю.
Okay, well, listen, guys, it was a pleasure
Еще
interacting
один
with you.
момент. Я сделала линк в Telegram, пожалуйста. Я сейчас тоже ее еще раз продублирую в чат. Добавляйтесь, там будет возможность, если вы постеснялись задать мне вопрос какой-то, задать его. Там в этом чате Алекс. И, пожалуйста, добавляйтесь, будем рады дружить, общаться. И ждем всех на вебинар. То есть будет очень интересно. Будет Алекс, будет Марла, Майкл. Я буду таким играющим тренером. Если что-то будет кому-то непонятно, я буду помогать всячески. Вы всегда можете ко мне обратиться. Будем отрабатывать ваши презентации и, собственно, стратегии.
И я не дождусь уже, когда я приеду к вам в гости, и, конечно же, ждем вас в гости, правильно? After all, this will end.
Last questions.
Yes.
Мастер-класс будет на русском или на английском?
Workshop, Лена?
Ну, мы вообще-то планировали проводить все на английском языке, но уже...
Ну, вы видите, у нас затягивает этот русский язык, понимаете? Мы пытаемся на английском, и вот никак не можем.
Нет, как раз на английском лучше всего, потому что он работает с американским рынком и говорит на native.
Of course.
Да, это более такая advanced
программа.
Я считаю, что это, если уже заниматься, есть такая возможность всегда, безусловно, переспросить, если что-то будет непонятно, всегда есть возможность...
Как это по-русски?
Да, как это по-русски, уточните, мне какие-то вопросы задать, потому что мы с Алексом уже довольно...
But you know, I obviously have the control of the both languages, so we can, you know, if something is not understood, then we can always jump in and talk about the...
Группа будет гораздо меньше, поэтому всегда будет возможность уточнить какие-то моменты. Но лично для меня я очень жду. Мы тоже точно так же будем делать пивот нашей стратегии, поэтому вместе со всеми.
All right, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Пока.
Bye-bye.